why Clark? Why did they choose Clark? How did they end up here? And what were some of the kind of important factors in making that decision, as a family?
Eliza was pretty methodical about her process. So we did a lot of visiting on a lot. And I know it's a little different since she's a sophomore. We had a little bit of a different application process than most of the parents are dealing with right now. She did find that once she was on campus at Clark, to visit, she really liked being in the city, but the fact that the school felt so contained within the city itself. So you were in Worcester, but at the same time, it wasn't sprawled across Worcester. She liked that feeling. Getting to talk to current students really helped her get a feel for whether or not she thought she'd fit in there. Mm-hmm. And talking to her now, she really appreciates the sense of community that the college has, and not just within the team that she's got. For her, that was helpful to have that group to begin with. But she feels a very strong sense of community within the college itself. Looking at it, one of the things that she appreciates about it is how diverse the student body is, and how she really feels that there's not a lot of judgment about the diversity there. So, people look different, dress different, behave differently, and it doesn't really feel like there's a sense of in or out or anything like that. It's just a lot of different people, but they all go to Clark, and that sort of gives them a sense of belonging and feeling like they, as a sense of togetherness without being very homogenous.
So one thing I noticed that when you answered the question about why your son chose Clark, as you said, there were a few things that surprised you about what direction he's kind of going into in his first year. Any other surprises or some things that you're sort of pleasantly surprised by about your students' experience at Clark, or things that maybe you found once they got to Clark that you weren't necessarily expecting?
Should I start? I'll start. Just to follow up. So yeah, Henry was able through it was his first year intensive class that was an entrepreneurship class. And through that class, he did a project which, because there were also so few opportunities for social activities, given what we were going through with COVID, it was really nice for him to be able to do this project. He started a business on campus, a pop-up business, and apparently it's one of many that students have done. And he was selling homemade apple cider next to his friend who had a baked goods business, and it got him out and in the fall weather on campus, interacting with other people in a socially distant way outside, and it was great, and it spurred his interest for the entrepreneurship classes.
Thank you. I don't have any other panelists have something to add. If there was anything that surprised you or kind of was new kind of to you once your student got to Clark, Chris?
I think that for Max, he went in sort of with a focus that he would do econ or business, and by the nature of a liberal arts school, having to take other courses, as well as not so focused on what this 18-year-old person thinks they want to study, ended up taking a law and society class and just loved it. So he's kind of made a shift already, even in the first year. And so I think that just emphasizes how great it is for a student like him who thought he liked something but didn't really know, being at a liberal arts college that's also a research university.
Another question I wanted to ask is, somebody would like to know, do your children feel challenged academically? So kind of how do they feel in terms of the level of academics, and do they feel challenged?
Eliza definitely feels challenged, and has discovered that the challenge helps her rise to it. She's really excited to see her hard work pay off there. So, and she's learning, like Chris said, the types of courses that they're taking, they're very interesting, and it's allowing her to find some niche topics and spending some real time with them. And at the same time, getting a sense of an overall concept as well. She's really enjoyed that. I think Eliza had a study group for her physics class last year. And I think it depends on the nature of the course. If you're doing a lot of project based, obviously the project becomes the group. If you're doing a lot of writing, that doesn't necessarily lend itself to a study group. But the physics, they would meet together to study for tests beforehand. And it was very much an opportunity for the students to help each other prepare for the exam as opposed to competing for it. So I would say, she hasn't really spoken of a competitive, I haven't heard of anything that makes me think that it's more of a, if there's anything competitive about it, that it's the cutthroat competition as opposed to just supporting each other and collaborating to bring everything together.
I would definitely echo those remarks that Max has seemed that it is much more of a collaborative and encouraging. Although he does say, everyone's really smart and bright, but it doesn't have that competitive edge. He hasn't indicated that it's like that at all, just much more collaborative.